Perhaps we're receiving. It looks like we are starting. Just looking to see stream health. Stream health. Okay, testing the old YouTube channel. So you are live. You are live. The internet can totally see you now. To stop, use your encoder. Oh, okay. Well, let's see whether or not there's any lag or any weirdness that goes on. What to say? Go. What to say? This is just gonna give me an update video that I'm just gonna go at it, and I think what I need to do is set up Hangouts because I think hanging out would be great. Okay. Well, it's mid October 2016. I recently lost all my cats. My roommate moved out closer to the beginning of the month. Spent a lot of time cleaning things up. I'm working on a new huge painting over here. Kind of going to be using my Devil's Tower here to incorporate in this larger piece. I'm feeling very despot about art in general because my wave on Instagram, my ability to show myself off and my artwork proudly, is very low and awkward. I'm awkward because my documentary guy. We got apparently into our final TIFF a couple months back, and I'm thinking about taking him to small claims court. Probably going to file for that because I'm not hearing from him. He was supposed to do something, and now I'm kind of just realizing, like fuck it, I'm do something for myself. All I know though is I essentially hired this guy years ago, 4 years ago, right? And he's taken longer to produce an 80-minute flick that was originally 120 before he had a cow, and that it's taken him longer to do this flick than Michelangelo took to do the Sistine Chapel, right? Absolutely asinine. So there's that, which really sucks because I did, he does have great footage and great things. So I'm gonna try to figure out what it is I can sue him for. But it'll be low, I imagine, if I get anything. But it would be great to have the footage or to have my sketchbooks that seemingly are missing back, or I don't know, to force him to complete it would be great. So there's that going on. I was seeing Christy for a while, a couple months, and we eventually came to an impasse. And if her drunk neighbor friend wasn't brandishing and pointing a handgun at me, and I wasn't in a volatile state, perhaps we wouldn't have broken up. But at the same time, it was also coming down to the fact that her goal and my goal in life are two different things. Yes, two different things. So I don't think we were seeing eye to eye. Have some collectible art over there, Annalise Powell and Jennifer Michelle Long and Jonas Akers and Kayla Phil and Leia something and this guy from 2002, Venice Beach, and then Chimpan Jesus, he did that one, and then Mars, young lady, did that one, and then that's from Egypt. Anyway, so got an art collection. I'm debating about whether or not to rent my place out and go somewhere else for a while, right? And yet I'm still like the monkey in the monkey trap that won't let go of his apple to go see what's going on. So I'm kind of stuck here. My dad I had a cancer scare. Still might be cancer. Figure out in a month. Yeah, I've been going into rooms. Been going. I don't do a lot of videos lately because I don't. I don't. Well, what to say about it. I don't do a lot of um, solo videos, even though I did set up a Patreon for the dospook channel. I thought, don't do that. Set it up for the Mike Vale channel, right? Move everything over there. Migrate it over there. But anyway, so I set that up, and then it took me forever to figure out this whole encoder thing. But what I was going to say is I was wanting to do Hangouts, right? Because there's a lot of people doing Hangouts. So about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I got involved with Google Hangouts and kind of dropped into some communities that became debate communities and a lot of theism and atheism. Anyway, and I kind of moved back and forth between the theists and the atheists, criticizing one side and criticizing the other, and synthesizing my own philosophical perspectives on things and feeling okay about it, and yet not substantiating with it. And anyway, I just got out of a hangout, one of Sydney's hangouts, and he, staunch atheist, secularist, seemed to go through his room, and so I was giving him my whole paranormal story, from the orb to the ghost head and the jumping off the roof to chasing the red star and the significance and some of the fallout of all this and I realized in these rooms, I mean, they're really fun to mix it up with multiple people because you can get a synopsis of everyone and kind of work with. For me, I work with the group as a group, and then people kind of narrow it down to a one-on-one or two-on-one sort of discussions. And so it's kind of an interesting play, good community of play. And I've met a lot of great people and moved me in a lot of different ways, emotionally and empathetically, and just considerably in terms of Bible knowledge or basic, extensions of philosophical concepts and genetics and math, just all sorts of anything. And you know, but anyway, all I know is that argumentative skills and topics that I didn't really believe were still like in the community mind, pop up. Like when I was alone, just doing my own videos, right, like this. I didn't really think um, about what trends through these communities, right? And so the whole Bible thumping, Christendom and even the Quran, just the basic Abrahamic sort of traditional Protestants seem to dominate in at least the U.S. discourse in terms of being popular. Not a lot of Mormons, not a lot of Amish, some Mormons, some Muslims, and then the whole Donald Trump phenomena in politics, matching kind of the say anything mode, really kicked me into interacting with people. Because before this, like I've been very very serious about a lot of things, or I was for a long time, very very serious about my arguments, whether or not I thought they were loosely drawn together associative type arguments or not. I really haven't got into making videos arguing about anyone. Anyway, I probably shouldn't ramble too long, but I did want to give a basic synopsis. But anyway, and my point is that I had no idea, like I was explaining to the atheists how I have a theos, and it's based on supernatural phenomena that I have experienced, right? And I realized that I need to generate a different sort of modality of theology and argumentation than a regular, Bible thumper. Someone that's basing their texts off of like something that they just, that was an amazing coincidence or a confounding, convicting thought, and kind of compare that with my idea of being an experiencer, somebody that's experienced the super radical phenomenal otherly universe. And because I was having to explain that there was a time where I couldn't believe that everyone else wasn't in on my little Truman Show. Anyway. So anyway, blah blah blah. And then I continued from there too. I wasn't just going to get stuck on a hey, I'm in the Truman Show, but we were talking about living in a voxel, like pixelated universe, and the flatness of black holes, and all sorts of other stuff in Sydney's room tonight. But conversations go all over. So anyway, for the past year, I've been in these chat rooms, and it's really helped me hone a lot of things. And the reason I was mentioning I was serious before was because there was a huge amount of time I remember. I don't remember when it was, but it was probably about maybe 3 or 4 months ago that I decided to, instead of just like wittily associate shit, I decided to like actually outright contrive shit, like contrive complete lies, but only for the sake of comedy and accusation and power tripping, right? Not as a more for a comedic freedom than philosophical or uh, you know not I don't want to have practices of lying to myself. I don't like the idea that I'm saying stuff. A lot of like Nadia Chambers, Debate Coliseum, Jesus Is Us, MK, Sydney, Sugar, Steve McCrae, these whole rooms in these communities, having all these hangouts. I have a list. I should drop a list of the rooms that I was in, so anyone can go through those videos. Maybe I'll just do it on my MikeFail.com site. Anyway, point though is that I started like making up shit, and then I realized like, okay, don't make certain that people know when I'm serious and when I'm bullshitting. And I'm pretty good at letting them know that I'm bullshitting, or the absurdity of the shit coming out of my mouth is pretty heavy. But this also helped lead me into dileotheism, notions of breaking the conventions of the logical rules. Always trying to talk about exceptions like A equals A1. A cup isn't just a cup, it's a sentimental cup. Wait, we're referring to that cup, right? Well, that cup's sentimental, but where's that cup? Yeah, the sentimental cup. Oh, so that cup, it doesn't equal that cup. That cup means more to this person, but we're still referring to the same object, the object of discourse, right? And just parsing out different things from physicalism and materialism and epistemology and opere ore arguments prior to a priori arguments, epistemic versus epistemological, the realm of one's knowledge set versus the reductive notions, the tradition of what epistemology must mean in rational discourse, right? Just fettering out all sorts of definitions, all sorts of things, reconsidering, recombobulating, kind of reformatting what it is I am. And I thought, I am a supernatural phenomenologist, but not phenomenology in the hermeneutic sense, supernatural phenomena, right? Instead of methodological naturalism, I'm more like mythical supernaturalism. It's grounded, it's not separate from naturalism, right? But there's experiences of things that like I was talking to Sydney, right, in this group, like, hey, I don't know why it is that I'm part now of this smaller class of people that consider themselves to have experienced something in the physical material world that goes beyond the limits of what they think is technologically possible, what they think is beyond general, methodological, natural bounds of rational consideration. Right? And this one guy comes in here, hey, what do you think about the God, what is it? The uniformity of nature, right? You must trust the uniformity, right? And so I go back in with, okay, and he's like, the uniformity of nature is true, right? But I thought about it, and I thought, well, this comes off of a verb form of materialism. We know everything's in a form of entropy, right? So we're really in a verbose form. So everything is always, in some manner or another, changing. And I thought to note these changes, we note different things as changing. So I figured, well, there's multiple forms, therefore we live in a multiformity of nature. So I remember pushing back into him like, hey, you know that multiformity of nature is true and correct, right? You know that, right? Trying to get him to land on it. Crickets, right? Anyway, and there's just good personalities. Not only good people, but good argumentative styles and techniques, and just tones and temperaments and stories, and just getting to know people. Google Hangouts has been really good. It's kind of like the old Stick'em days. Different rules, different scheme. Everything's changing in terms of the codes and the software and the terms of service and what hate speech is and what isn't, and what to say about politics right now. Trump and Hillary, social justice warriors. What I consider like the phenomena of the left and of the millennial college people going on is I think it's kind of a postmodern inflation of power, group identification, taking a role of identification above and beyond the individual, such as to thwart the root notion of the individual. Um, so it's almost group over individual. It's an inflated idea of group identity, like Black Lives Matters and non-binary gender and feminism versus men's right activism, and just all these politically over bloviated, bloated ideas that are running into almost these contrary realms of discourse, right? The very approach to postmodern or fourth wave feminism, for example, talking about body shaming and slut walks and video games and TV and portrayals of women now. It's not more about rights in a civil thing. Now it's more of let's try to control the imaginations, the speech limits, the mode in which one must reconsider differences that are placed as like primary. They're kind of like laws of logic, right? It's like a new appropriated argument about what one's foundations are, but it's for like political justice. It's like, well, you don't want to incite speech. You want a safe space to discuss one's identity relative to one's group. You can reduce it to one's identity as long as you're bringing it to the group in terms of like the justice of what and the platform in which one is engaging their body of listeners. So anyway, there's a lot of blowback. There's a lot of pushback. Um, Postmodernism seems to be argued as coming from the right, or coming from the left, attacked from the right, and the right seems to want to like gather ground on what's most rational and what's most correct, and yet it just seems to me that logic itself, these realms of discourse can migrate, and they are migrating, and it's kind of a nice thing. And I've spent a lot of philosophical time trying to undermine identity concepts, contradiction concepts, excluded middle concepts, trying to find a workaround, talking about pre-linguistic humans and the experience, like, oh, there's an infant reaching for a balloon, and so we can ascribe the word knowledge. Oh, the baby knows where the balloon is, even though phenomenologically, hermeneutically, supposing the baby's mind, the mind is not in an epistemological realm. It's in an epistemic realm, but it's not epistemological because it does epistemological. One's episteme, one's epistemology requires that you are lingual, and so, but from the baby's first-person point of view, the baby is still responding to phenomena that we already agree is the case, unless, of course, you think we are living in a solipsistic matrix. In which case, though, it's very interesting to talk about like outbound rule systems, notions of other minds, reasons why we see contrast and difference, and we're able to fetter out certain things. where one's limit of consideration and assumptiveness comes to an end. What I find very, very interesting, the thing that I think I collect on people is what it is in almost any topic, what it is they're willing to accept and bring in to the realm of their consideration, and what it is they'll reject or maintain as an exclusion to their consideration. I think that just figuring out where people are there is a huge feat because there's so many varied perceptions. I mean, there's flat earthers, there's concave earthers, there's people like me, supernatural radical phenomena people, and then the secular naturalists, and the SJWs, and I mean, politics is maddening. Okay, anyway, I'm bloviating and babbling. And I was called word salad. Too often in these rooms was I called word salad. And boy, I realized that I do not in tempo of my topics necessarily fall into simplification, kind of the Occam's razor of reduction, and I've even had to push back against that complexity. But I don't segment off and rhythmically reduce and order my arguments in the most simple, conventional fashion, such that people listening to me probably think that what they're hearing is mostly a series of gibberish, when in fact aspect blindness is huger than the idea that most people are speaking in tongues or speaking gibberish per se proper. Don't know if you guys can hear me fart. I've been farting. Should I mention that? My human organism farts. That's right. And look, I got myself a little mosquito bite or a gnat bite there, and then another one there. It's really upsetting me. Very, very upset. Okay, so what else isn't going right? Nothing. Girlfriend gone, roommate gone, cat's gone, documentary guy out. Rex, he showed up with his daughter. I didn't invite him to my niece-in-law's baby's party because I don't know, because I wasn't done being upset at Rex. Okay, so anyway, then Dad's cancer, probably benign, does a surgery in 4 weeks. Want to get to Vegas, want to get to Montana, I'm here in Utah, want to go to California, want to go to New York, got to get out of the country, got to go everywhere, but I'm going probably nowhere, at least not for the time being. Work on the painting, work on stuff, yes. Somehow try to, like with my mind and rationalizing things, put things in order, appropriate them rationally, and utilize what I argue with people about rationality, that it's more of functional utility, right? One has to claim that they have some sort of purpose in their life and that they have a work goal orientation for which rationality seems to be like an appropriate employment in order to facilitate the utility that you're trying to yield, the goal that you're trying to get to. Oh, okay. So, lastly, let me show. Shit. Okay, hold on. Lastly, okay, I got it. Okay. Ooh, there's the bottom of that foot. Isn't it rancorous and weird? That's the one with the surgery. Okay, here, let me show that one. That one's a little bit distorted, right? Not too much. You see the scar on that one. There's my limit of movement. Big clod hoppers. Okay, so anyway, here's one centaur lady. Right, we got one centaur lady there. So we're trying to do this painting, right? It's going to be Devil's Tower and some devils on it. A bunch of like Jupiter. That's probably going to be a good sketch for it, right? So we got Jupiter floating above Devil's Tower, and then we got some centaurs over here. They're shooting, they're shooting flaming arrows at Jupiter, lighting it on fire, which lights the devil on top of Devil's Tower on fire, yeah. And then there's other devils and centaurs. Anyway, There's a weird one, right? This is like a combination of old girlfriend meets some sort of zombie. Anyway, so I did this close-up. I've been working on these centaur pictures for a few weeks now, and here's kind of a close-up. That was going to be that's an old picture of me with my eyes closed that I made open. And I thought it was odd. My follow-up sketch looks so much like my first girlfriend. Oh, went out to eat for my dad's birthday, so that was my sketch of Jake, and then Molly, and then my mom, my dad, and Kayla. Out there, the Mexican Grill on 9400 South Jordan Landing. It was really good and really fun and neat. And some randomisms about this and that. And some drunk people that know my cousins and the suicide that happened down there. It's really peculiar. Okay, but what was I trying to get to? Oh, in front of the sketchbook. Okay. So anyway, there's one kind of, small hands, nice horns, pretty well postured centaur. But then I did this one, right, a little more flowing, bigger hand, no horns. Then, okay, put them all in, just put a bunch of them in. Oh, and then there's a cool lady, like, hey lady, pick a flower. Hold your puss back, pick a flower. And a nice couple at the bar. Oh, and I've been working on my Jewish lady. Jesus H. Christ, did a cow shit in here. Honey, can you go pick up some Schwartz at the local deli? I don't know. Okay, I'm babbling. I'm done. Probably a 30-minute video on nonsense. But take that to my one patron. Good old Carla. Whomever you are. And that's that. All right, let's see if this thing works. Bye.